Chapter 8, Las Vegas. Before the serpent rose, Nyssara Ashbluff was not born a serpent. She was made silent first, careful first, hungry first. Before Tucson, before blood networks, before nightclubs, before private rooms where powerful people whispered secrets into glasses they should not have finished, there was Ireland. 1910. Two babies were left at the door of an orphanage, a girl and a boy. No name, no family, no inheritance except abandonment. The clerics named them Nyssara and Nisrael. From the beginning, Nyssara was noticed. Emerald eyes, red hair, a beauty too sharp for childhood. But beauty, for Nyssara, was never a blessing. It was exposure. Adults looked too long. Men and women with soft voices and hard intentions came too close. And Nyssara learned very early that screaming did not always protect you. Violence did not always save you. Truth did not always matter. So she learned something better. Silence. Observation. Threats delivered softly enough to sound like manners. If you touch me again, the director will know. Try it once more, and your wife will know. That was Nyssara's first weapon. Not strength, information. She did not defend herself by becoming louder. She became harder to read. While Nisrael struck at danger, Nyssara studied it. He believed protection was a fist. She understood protection could be timing, posture, a lowered gaze, or knowing exactly when to let someone believe they had won. That difference saved her, and damned her. By 16, she left the orphanage with Nisrael. Europe became their education. Spain, Germany, France, Italy, cheap rooms, shared beds, dangerous streets. People who smiled before they ruined you. Nisrael kept finding trouble. Nyssara kept solving it. Sometimes that meant bargaining. Sometimes it meant surrendering a little ground so they could survive the larger war. Sometimes it meant losing on purpose, because a temporary loss could open a door that pride would keep closed. That was where her philosophy began. Everyone wanted something. Everyone could be bought. Not always with money. Sometimes with pleasure, sometimes with attention, sometimes with the illusion of being understood, sometimes with permission to become worse. Nyssara did not become corrupt because the ministry taught her corruption. The corruption was already there. The ministry only gave it scripture. Italy nearly killed Nisrael. He made the wrong deals with men who did not shout, did not threaten, did not need to prove anything. They simply decided. Structured men, criminal men, men with rules, silence, and consequences. Nyssara got them out before Nisrael understood how close death had come. After that, America became the answer. New York first, but the pattern continued. Nisrael kept reaching for danger like it owed him respect. So Nyssara released him, not because she did not understand the risk, because even then, she knew some pieces had to be tested away from the board. Nisrael went to Chicago. Nyssara went to Las Vegas. And Las Vegas amused her. The city had the honesty to admit it was built on appetite, money, bodies, secrets, intoxication, spectacle. Everyone came pretending they wanted luck. Nyssara knew better. They wanted permission. Permission to lose, to cheat, to touch, to lie, to become briefly unrecognizable. At 20, she began working in a nightclub. It was not glamorous, but it gave her something better than glamour. Access. People talked when they drank. They talked more when they wanted to impress her. They confessed when they believed she admired them. Nyssara learned names, habits, debts, affairs, fears. She learned who paid in cash, who paid through intermediaries, who watched the exits, and who never touched their glass but still controlled the room. That was how she noticed him. Anku Setek al-Sharif, the Serpent of Las Vegas, an ancient ministry elder from Egypt, a creature who took lineage seriously. He barely drank. Everyone listened. That alone told her enough. Nyssara made herself visible, not desperate, not obvious, visible. A glance held half a second too long, a comment sharp enough to be remembered, a refusal soft enough to feel like an invitation delayed. The serpent watched and understood. Not beauty, utility. Beauty was common. Beauty aged. Beauty begged to be consumed. Nyssara's beauty worked. She could close a deal by standing near it. Humans softened around her. Men revealed themselves faster when they wanted her approval. Women with power saw her beside the serpent and understood she meant value. She could make corruption feel intimate, so he took her into his world. At first, she was decoration, a red-haired woman placed beside him in negotiations, a body to sweeten the room, a private indulgence when he wanted to remind himself that everything useful belonged beneath him. He believed she was disposable, someone satisfying, someone clever enough to entertain him, but not dangerous enough to fear. Nyssara allowed him to believe that. That was her gift. She could kneel inside a hierarchy and make the hierarchy forget she was learning its shape. But Nyssara never gave herself cheaply. Her body was not a coin. It was a precision tool. If she spent a night with someone, it was because that night opened a door, closed a threat, bought silence, planted dependency, or revealed weakness. If it produced nothing, it was waste, and Nyssara hated waste. The serpent began testing her. First with easy men, then with dangerous men, then with criminals, violent investors, ghoul handlers, dirty politicians, and ministry figures who treated desire like ownership. Nyssara kept returning. Not innocent, not untouched, functional, sharper. That disturbed him, because normal corruption consumes. In Nyssara, corruption refined. She could do what others called degradation and turn it into method. That was when the serpent understood the truth. Nyssara had been ministry before the blood. She did not see morality as truth. She saw it as social architecture. She did not see intimacy as sacred. She saw it as access. She did not see humiliation as an ending. She saw it as language, and that made her too valuable to leave unclaimed. At 22, after a Ventrue began circling her as a possible child, the serpent made his decision. He embraced her. Not from love, not from tenderness, from possession, from investment, from the ancient instinct that valuable things must be claimed before they learn how to escape. Nyssara did not mourn her human life. She adapted. She always had. Undeath did not make her softer. It made her precise. Blood, hunger, presence, obfuscate, serpentis. She studied her new body the way she studied rooms. She wanted to know how power moved through her, how desire could be sharpened, how fear could be softened into loyalty before the victim realized the door had closed. But Las Vegas was not kind to an unplanned childa. The serpent had other childer, older childer, planned childer, creatures who considered lineage sacred and hierarchy absolute. To them, Nyssara was not a sister. She was an intrusion, a pretty accident the serpent had elevated too quickly, so she had to learn fast how to survive ancient jealousy, how to smile through insults, how to let them underestimate her, how to turn ministry alchemy into a weapon. Venom became doctrine in her hands, blood became product, pleasure became recruitment, nightclubs became temples without prayers. Humans believed they came to dance. Kindred knew better, and when she finally found the chance, Nyssara killed one of them. Nasir. Not in public, not carelessly, but completely. Nasir had been used against her, and Nyssara judged him as a resource already spoiled, a piece that generated loss, a liability wearing a name, so she removed him. The serpent did not punish her because he cared about Nasir's death. He punished her because she had destroyed a resource without first calculating the cost. That was his law. If you destroy a piece, you inherit its structure. Nyssara had to clean the exposure, recover the roots, replace the income, protect the silence, and she was forced to take responsibility for what Nasir left behind, including Cyrus Zadin, a young kindred, vulnerable, exposed, now tied to her as a living consequence. Cyrus was not a gift. He was a punishment with a pulse. That was how the serpent trained her. Not by teaching mercy, by teaching administration. Power without control was waste. Cruelty without profit was vulgar. Murder without structure was childish. And Nyssara learned. She learned too well. She began creating her own structures. Not with friends. Nyssara did not have friends. She had routes, devotees, ghouls, assets. People who could open doors, carry messages, change records, move money, bury bodies, and smile while doing it. She understood gratitude better than love, so she created it. She brought her ghouls to the edge of death, let them feel abandonment, let them feel the cold certainty that no one was coming. Then she saved them, and in that rescue, she became the answer to their terror. Their loyalty did not come from affection, it came from relief, from dependency, from the memory of her hand arriving after everyone else had failed. That was Nyssara's kind of devotion. Not love me, need me so much that losing me feels like death returning for you. That became her signature. Her first great hidden child was Andorra Fairfax. Andorra was different. Nyssara trained her almost like an equal, shaped her with care, intelligence, and dangerous patience. But Andorra became too sharp, too aware, too capable of slipping the design. So she escaped. Nyssara did not forgive that. Now Andorra sleeps in torpor, hidden, preserved, a lesson unfinished. Her second child was Lucian Cross. Lucian was structure, money, security, logistics, silence. He understood systems without needing them romanticized. He did not need to be loved to function. That made him easier to keep useful. Then there was Cyrus, a responsibility inherited through Nasser's death, not chosen, not loved, managed, and eventually there would be Nisrael, the third child, unplanned, a death too recent to waste, a brother only by history, a test by function. Nyssara had been embraced in her 20s, but decades around ancient monsters changed her behavior. She did not move like a young kindred. She moved like something older, colder, almost elderly in patience. A young woman's face, an old man's suspicion. That was what made Las Vegas uneasy. Nyssara did not truly fit, not because she was weak, because she was too practical for faith, too ambitious for obedience, too cold for indulgence, and too efficient to remain anyone's ornament forever. The Serpent saw it. So did the others. She did not worship corruption. She used it. She did not believe in temptation as sacred liberation. She believed in what happened after shame was removed, what people bought, who they betrayed, how much they paid to keep becoming worse. The ministry gave her language, but she wanted independence, freedom from her sire, freedom from hierarchy, freedom to build something that could not be taken from her by hunger, blood, or a hand at the back of her neck. And that was why Las Vegas sent her away. They called it opportunity. They called it expansion. They called it trust. It was exile with perfume. Tucson was changing. Camarilla power was restructuring. Anarch pressure was rising. Sabbat fractures were creating markets. The ministry presence there was useful but undisciplined. Too visible in some places. Too sloppy in others. Too pleased with corruption. Not disciplined enough with profit. The Serpent gave her the command like a blessing and a leash. Bring me 2 billion. A pause. And hierarchy. Nyssara heard something else. Distance. Not freedom yet, but distance. And distance could become leverage. Leverage could become independence. So she went. Lucian remained her structure. Cyrus remained her obligation. Nisrael came as a test, and Tucson opened beneath her in desert darkness, dry heat rising from the city like breath from a sleeping animal. Others saw territory. Nyssara saw systems, fault lines, markets, addictions, weakness hiding behind political banners. Before she could become a serpent over Tucson, she would have to win inside the ministry first. Not loudly, not immediately. A loud serpent becomes a belt. A patient serpent becomes a god. Nyssara Ashbluff did not come to Tucson to serve the ministry. She came to perfect it. And if perfection required betrayal, seduction, blood, patience, or the removal of every serpent standing above her, then Tucson had already given her something worth smiling for.